This is going to vary from a report, of course, which you will submit to your company or to your boss or to anyone. So, so every report needs to be tailor-made. The one rule is very important and is common for all, that you consider your audience in mind, because that would impact on how you generally make it. Then keep the report as short as possible. From that, it doesn't mean keep to make your assignment 3 or 1 page, but it means that it should be of the length which is required to convey your ideas. It shouldn't be like extra long, like anything more than what is required to balance your thoughts. And if you have put up everything, you don't need to extend it beyond that. Then organize the information for convenience of the reader. So sometimes what happens, we think the organization of document is like perfect, and we have put our thoughts in a very very coherent way, like step 1, step 2, step 3. But this may not always be the case for the reader. The reader might be expecting something different. For example, in your assignment 3 case, I would be expecting like 5 different sections of your report. So I would be expecting that there is introduction or background. Then you have done some literature review about the topic. Then you put out your methodology, that how did you do what you have done, and then results, and then finally the conclusion, and then I would expecting references at the end of the document. You might want to do it in your own way, but like it's possible that if you start to do it your way, you might miss out writing about the conclusion, let's say, or you might miss about writing the results if you're just putting your own open-ended headings and subheadings. So what I'm expecting is the standard introduction, literature review, methodology, results and conclusion, and then finally references. So if you have any other extra information, so we'll just discuss about that in coming slides. The best way to put any extra information, which is like important to be there, but like doesn't necessarily fit into the document, you can always add these as an appendix and like at the end bottom of your report. Then include accurate references. It's really important because you cannot just copy and paste from anywhere. And there are tools that we can recognize that if it has been copied from anywhere, or what kind of tools you're using to like paraphrase or whatever. Ensure your writing is accurate, concise, and straightforward. Include diagrams. So from diagrams, I mean, it can be a figure, a table, or graph, or anything. Make sure your summary is given. Your summary gives the brief of your gives whole picture in brief. So an abstract or a summary is also a very key part of a technical report. And like it helps you as a writer to organize your report in a better way. Then check the report for technical errors, typing errors, and inconsistencies. So what happens is that oftentimes we put wrong words, which are technically and spelled correct. So Microsoft Word doesn't alert us about it's put it at the wrong place. But if you do not come back and reread our document, it might still be there. And when we submit it, it can of course, harm your grade. Consider the design and as well as the content. From design, I don't mean I want like flowers all around your report, but from design, I mean it should be like so. For example, there is a table. So how you have put half of the table on one page, and the second half of the rest of the table is on second page. That is, of course, not good for a viewer. You don't want to see such kind of reports. Of course, I don't want to see those kind of reports. And if you have, I would, of course, consider it not a good report. Produce a report for your readers, not for yourself. Be precarious if you know the audience can be broad. From that, it means, for example, you're writing a report, and you can have more than one kind of audience. You know that the children are going to read this, and the elder are going to read it. So you have to keep it moderate, kind of. Um, so so all of you are by now, you have clear idea, clear vision for what you are going to do for your assignments for this module. So the best systematic way to start writing or start working for your report is to set some objectives. So and like that's why I have been like emphasizing the fact that please like narrow down the idea. As I mentioned, I don't want long reports. I don't want like you talk about the entire idea of COVID-19 and environment. That is a fact. We know it COVID-19 and like previous 2 years had an impact on environment, and environment has an impact on COVID-19. So it is a vice versa situation. I already know that, and that is why it is important to me and for this module. But I want all of you to explore a very teeny tiny, a very particular aspect of COVID-19 and the environment. And even if you have pick up an aspect, let's say, for example, you put up taking up food, let's say. So I would say if you have limited it to one category, please limit it down to one place. Even Ireland is a very big area. You can only choose to work on Galway. You can only choose to work on your neighborhood. So the narrower the idea is, I would say the better the results would, and the results would be real time. So setting objectives is really, really important. And like you have to consider who you are producing the report for, why you are producing the report, and what information you are covering. So in this case, you essentially making it for the grade, and like you're writing like I'm the only one who is going to read it. But like you have to consider what information you are covering. So even like let's say if I want to understand if so for example my topic is I want to check if the Paris Climate Agreement was a success or not for Ireland, because this was a very big climate agreement. I cannot assess the entire agreement in one document. I would just pick up Ireland. So first of all, I would set some objectives that how do I measure it? I measure the economic development. I measure the impact of COVID-19. I would measure the like CO2 emissions and this. So I would set the objectives one by one. And then let's say if you have 3 objectives for your report, and then you try to achieve each of them. And for each of the objectives, you develop your methodology, you develop your results like separately, and like they should be like linked to each other, but they should be at the same time, they can be independent. And please keep in mind that the objectives are supposed to be output based. For example, you have to write to analyze this, to do this. Like there should be a verb in while you're writing your objectives. Well, this is again the repetition of why is the reader is so important, because you are going to tell them you're writing the report for the reader, and keeping in mind that who your reader is going to bridge the gap between what reader already knows and what you are going to like provide. So like I said, I already know that COVID-19 was an important scenario for in terms of environment. Don't tell me the same story again. I want to know about new information. Let me know how did it impact at your home. Let me know how did it impact on your neighborhood and so on. Like how did it impact on food? I don't know how did it impact on food. So there can be various different ways to explore that. A good title of your report should be no longer than 12 words. But even if you're putting extra information into that or whatever, it should never exceed beyond 15 words. So even if you have set your title by now, you feel free to change it and make it as concise and as like the shorter the title, the better it is. And don't make it a question because questions in a title are not good for technical reporter, these kind of assignments. Questions for as a title are only good in case of if you're writing a blog so that the reader is attracted to read your article to find the answer. But for a technical report or these kind of assignments, questions as a titles are not a good idea. Try to, and like the first, there should always be a first page. Of course, there should always be a first page, even if it is going to be an like essay, one page essay. There should be a title page attached to it, which has the information. These, for example, title, your name, what is the purpose. So in case of this assignment, you would say, for the partial completion of this module, ABC, name of the module, I have written this, and the course name, the module name, department, whatever your major is, and then the date of the submission. And then border. Okay. So okay, so these are here, these are the sections or the categories I want in I'm expecting in a good report. So first of all, title page, then acknowledgements. For example, if you conduct interviews of your neighborhood, then it's really important you acknowledge them. Or let's say if you get some 50 euros as funding to do this assignment from any company or any agency or whatever, you need to acknowledge them. If you have even financial help or even physical help or any kind of help, if somebody helped you to do this assignment, or even the interviewees or anyone, you have to mention them. Then you put up a summary or abstract. So summary and abstract is like writing the entire cream of your report in 200 words or in 10% of the number of words that you put your report on. It gives me, and opening a statement, it gives me a broader idea of what I'm going to read next in these 5 to 10 pages. And so this the cream, if I'm calling it cream, this should be the best part of your report. Then comes a table of contents. So for example, I showed you here, this is the table of contents that this is the opening. So this gives me an idea that what comes in next in this presentation. See how it helps you to know that, okay, for the next couple of minutes, we are going to talk about these points. And if you are not interested, for example, you can skip some of the parts, but it's really important to open up your presentation with a table of contents. Then you give the introduction. So introduction can be, you can call it background, call it introduction, or anything like that. And you can also put up literature review into that. But literature review can be a separate section at the same time as well if you have lots and lots of literature review. And keep in mind that you have to refer everything that you put inside this all the content that you take from anywhere, you have to refer that. Then the procedures, which can also be called as methodology, findings or results, conclusions, recommendations, and then finally references. And then if you have any other extra information, you can put it in appendices. This is one of the features of Microsoft Word, which helps you to create automatic headings, automatic table of contents. So if you are interested, we can practice doing that. I'm sure many of you should already know about it. So can you raise your hands if you want me to practice it or to do it in person? I mean, to do it live. So if I have more than half votes, I can do it right now. Can you please raise your hands if you want me to teach you how to create table of contents? I'm available now. I can do it now. I mean, because at the end I would be expecting to have automatic table of contents generated, because this is really helpful. It would just automatically give the number of pages on your table of contents. All right, so, well, even if I don't have a good number of words, I'll just like, it's easier to do it now. So let's say these are your, or maybe let me open something else. Oh, sorry, can you see the Word document?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say you want to make this as a heading, introduction. And this is your normal text or the body of like your, and this is like body of your introduction, and this is again your methodology. So what you do here, you just select the introduction, you go here in the style section and you give it a heading 1. And if you want to create a subheading, like inside the introduction section, you wanna like have a brief of what was COVID-19, and you wanna make it a subheading, then you just can give it a heading 2. And then you can repeat the same process as, for example, then you give methodology as heading 1, and then if you're if you want to have a subheading for procedures, you just go and give here heading 2. I'm sure it looks as simple as it is, and like it's too basic, but it's really important what it does at the end of the report. And yep, so one really important thing is to give page numbers in your documents so that it generates it generates a good table of content. So I have deliberately put it on second page because I want to do something else with the page numbers, which will help us show why did I do it. And then let's say it's my conclusion. Okay, so what I do here, I just go in the references section, pick the table of contents, and here is my beautiful table of contents. See, I don't need to put these page numbers. These are automatically like, this tells me what is on page 1, what is on page 2. And this is like you can see this space here. This shows that this is the heading 1, this is the subheading, and then the same thing happens, the heading, subheading, and you can style it in any way you want. You can like do whatever, you can play with it. It's really, really helpful. It's really important. Like it's the easiest thing in the world. I would just recommend to please try to make it systematically. And the second hands-on practice that I wanted to do was to teach you how to properly give references. Sorry. So do you see the Mendeley site add-in here?
Yeah.
So this won't be automatically in your Microsoft Word. You have to install 2 things. You have to install the Mendeley software in itself, and then you have to install Mendeley add-in, which to your document. So once you open it, so first of all, do you see my
Would this also work if you were using EndNote?
Yeah, EndNote is perfect. Like I prefer Mendeley because it's free, but EndNote is perfect. So like I'm just trying to show here, maybe some of you don't know, and I would really be expecting to have references which are put through some referencing software so that it's easier for me to assess and like go back and arrange. So when you go to Mendeley, well, to me, it shows my account because I'm already on that. But if you say download Mendeley or like EndNote, or there are so many different referencing tools. But so, okay, so you now download now for Windows, you download the Mendeley software, and I'll just show you how does the software itself look, and it would help you to put the reference. So meanwhile it opens, I'll simply show you how do we refer any document. So for example, I have to refer this document. So what I do is I search this document in Google Scholar. I go in here, site, and then I download this. Okay, so it depends on which software you have. If you have EndNote, you will download this file. If you have Mendeley, you will download this file, and like it depends, varies from software to software. Because I'm using Mendeley, so I downloaded this file, which will automatically give me okay, so this is how the Mendeley software looks like. So I downloaded this file, which has the reference for this particular page. I pick up this document and I just throw it, sorry, and I throw it in the Mendeley, right here, and it's added into my library. So this is my library of all the papers that I have cited or referred in all my previous studies. And then you just simply go back to your document. And let's say I had written that I had, for example, I want to cite this information in COVID-19. I would just click on Mendeley. This would open, this would ask for my password for your account. And then on the top of it, you can see this paper, state monitoring and fault diagnosis or whatever. And then you choose insert one citation. So this is created here as citation. And you can choose the referencing style. I don't mind any citation style. You can use APA, or you can use like it gives you lots of option to change the language or to put it like in, for example, if you do it in numbers, this would come in numbers. But if you put the name at the bottom of it, it would come as in alphabetic order. So you'll have to do only one thing here. In reference, you write your references. You click on these three dots and you say insert bibliography, and voila, here is your reference. And like if you keep on doing this from the very beginning, like when you have started to write your report, it's very handy. And like you don't need to do like number one, number two by your like manually, or even if you're like, let's say, even if you write it in this format, at the end of your document, you have to write them in alphabetic order. So if you do it through a referencing software, this would do all of these things automatically for you, and everything is in hand. And all of these references are being stored in your Mendeley library. So it's very easy, very convenient, and like it would help me as well. I can like just then simply just go to your library and then see. Do you see my presentation?
Yeah.
So let me get that right. So you research sole topic, and you find the paper which you are interested in, and you want to use that paper in your assignment. You insert that the title of this
Paper.
material you want to use into your library, and
Yeah.
then okay.
So, for example, if you had any article you like for COVID-19 and environment. So if this is the paper you like, I mean, you are already reading it, let's say, you liked this information, that daily behavior of human and surrounding equals whatever it is. You have already like put this thing in your document, but like not copied and pasted, of course, but like rewritten in your own language. And but then it's in, because see, this is a new information. This is not something coming from your side. Then you are like bound to cite this. So what would you do? So you see that you read this paper, you simply go back here, go and cite, then you download this file. This is downloaded, and then you throw this in your Mendeley software. This is updated here. And when you go back to your document, then you refresh your Mendeley, and here is impact of COVID-19. See, this is updated here as well as here. And it's just so simple. Like
we can't see. I don't think we
oh
can see your
God.
screen there at the moment.
Oh God. Sorry.
You're looking at the slideshow.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. Well, it's there will be recording for it, so it would, you can come back and see how did I do it first time. Sorry, I was only sharing my presentation. So it's just simple, and you can always come back, and you can also always come back and ask me any questions about it.
Thank you so much.
Any more questions about creating a table of contents or referencing software? And the same thing, how we created a table of contents, you can do for creating table of figures and table of diagrams. So, and like you can do it systematically. So even in the styles section, if you put headings in a different way, then you can just go on the top and create a table of diagrams very conveniently. So abstract or executive summary, it should be the 10% of the total content. So for example, if you have 2000 words report, like which is required for this assignment, then I'm expecting a 200 words summary of what all over you have done. And it's like, it's from 200 words, it doesn't mean that you have to miss out some information, but in these 200 words, again, you have to write the entire idea of why did you do it, what have you done, how have you done, what were the outcomes of your report, and what have you understand from it, like what is the conclusion of your report, and then like if you have any future recommendations or if there were any limitations related to your work. So even if you put one sentence for each of these things, I guess you will have your 200s in the hand. So here is example of how to write an abstract. It essentially has like, in a broader way, it has two parts. So it begins with introduction, and like the second part is conclusion. So while writing a good abstract or a good summary, you start with first sentence, which is establishing the context and build relevance. So for example, if you're making a report about the food, about the impact on the food or vegetarian diet or anything like that, you would start to talk about during COVID-19, we know the shops are closed, and then like, this is the food and like impact of food and blah, blah, blah. And in the second sentence, you start to write about the gap and the problems and like what is the background. So for example, on your right hand, you have very, very nice example of a very beautifully written abstract. For the sake of this example, I have separated all of these paragraphs into different on a different line or different paragraphs, but abstract is always written in one paragraph. It's not separated by different, like it's not on a different lines. It's just one paragraph. So this is the good example. So it says due to poor rehabilitation after surgery. So it's beginning to talk about the title. For example, the title was reducing cost and improving patient outcome in post-operative physiotherapy for lower back injuries. So the first sentence is essentially just talking about what is the what is the problem, but in a broader way. Then the second sentence talks about the gap, that there was this knowledge gap, which is why you're doing the research and you're doing the report. The most common form of post-operative rehab is this, however, it has whatever. So, and then the third sentence talk about indicate what your paper. So see, you are opening up the topic so that the reader knows what this report is about. And then in third third sentence, you finally begin to talk about your work. So that this was the problem in a broader way, then this was the gap, and now this is how, like I am doing to help the general knowledge gap. Then in fourth sentence, you're putting up your single unifying theme, which means the unique thing about your particular project. What is in your report that is like not found anywhere else? Or we're now moving towards conclusion. Then in fifth sentence, you talk about your key facts, figures, or equations or results. For example, if any of you decide to do techno-economic analysis or cost-benefit analysis of any particular aspect of COVID-19, you put up your numbers, you don't put up all equations and all figures and all in here, because this is going to be just text paragraph, but you just put the numbers. For example, in our example here, there are 66% gain in function and 44% reduction in pain. So you just put up your numbers here. And then in the final sentence, you suggest any like implications or any positive, let's say, so this should be the final conclusion. So for example, if you did a survey in your neighborhood that during COVID, how many people turned to vegetarian diet, so the final conclusion would be like, so the fifth and sixth sentence would be like something in my neighborhood, 66% people changed to vegetarian diet or preferred vegetarian diet after the COVID-19 pandemic because they started to understand how bad it is for the environment and so on. And then finally in sentence 6, you can say that due to this growing number, like people turning to a vegetarian, we can say that COVID-19 helped and whatever, like how you see your project. So this, like you can this presentation is already online. You can see in your own time and like explore and find the differences in a good and bad report. This is just repetition of the same thing. Creating a table of contents is important. It should have all list of figures, all list of tables, list of appendices and everything. So when we're writing a report, so this is like this funnel diagram is again something same as we did in our abstract. So see, we are starting very broad. We're just trying to talk about the topic, which is like in a broader way, COVID-19 and environment, but then we are just narrowing it down towards only like, even if you do a very minor contribution and like it's significant and it's good in terms of like it has an actual results, then you can even do something about it. You can, if you have really good report, like you can publish it in some good journal, like, because of course you're doing good work here. So the idea is, hold on, sorry. So the idea is to narrow down, you start from the bigger picture and then you strategically just narrow down your project. Appendices is just, again, this any extra information. So I will show you some of the examples that what comes in appendices, and then like we already learned about references. In terms of writing, you should check about your spellings, your punctuation, sentences, and paragraphs. As I said, I don't want very difficult language. It should be simple, but it should be correct. Okay, so here's a good versus bad example. So in a bad example, all the information is just put up in like one big paragraph and like lots of bigger sentences. It's not break out. And but in a good example, the information is breaking down into smaller paragraphs. The sentences are like smaller, and then like at present on XYZ substation we have no facility. Instead of writing that, you can write on the XYZ substation board, we are unable to present to meet the demand. So you can see it's essentially the difference between academic writing and non-academic writing. If you're just talking to me and trying to tell me about the problem on substation, it's okay to talk in that way. But if you're trying to write it in a technical report, you have to like be better and like uh, be writing in an academic way. So where from you can learn this? This is not like from my all this talking, your skills are not going to improve. You can essentially know what is right and what's wrong in a report, but like from my this presentation, you're not going to be an expert overnight. So good writing comes from good reading. If you read good content, if you actually properly read about the content, you can learn more about uh, like you can learn to write it in a good way. And then like for example, on the left hand side we have OCBs, like which is straight out putting the short forms before like you don't tell me you didn't tell me what does the OCB stand for, and you just put up OCB. But in a good example, you would let me know first what a OCB is, but then when you use this shortcut second time, you can put it OCB the second time, but at the first, when you use the first time, you have to introduce the short form. All the diagrams, it's like in terms of diagrams, I would repeat, it's any tables, figures, or graphs come in terms of diagrams. You have to refer them, you have to cite them, and you have to label them. For example, you have to write figure 1, COVID-19, whatever, figure 2, environment, figure 3, food in my neighborhood, figure 4, and then you have to like discuss that in your text, that figure 1 shows this, figure 2 shows this, and so on. When you finish your report, you have to check. Everyone loves their work. We don't find mistakes, but even if we check it, we read our work, we might find mistakes. And give it some time before you come to reread or check your report. Then you'll essentially find many mistakes, and like you can correct it before submitting it. And check the table of contents. Always try to create a PDF document or try to view it in a print version so that you may know how would it appear at the end.